Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Game Design Archive. I'm Ludwig and as usual I'm here with my fantastic co-host Edvard.
Hello.
Hello. Today we are going to be talking about first impressions, onboarding and deep experiences.
Oof.
Do you want to define this or should I?
I can try.
Okay, go ahead.
So, what we mean with this title is how should I say this? There is potentially, but not always, a conflict between the first impressions and onboarding experience when you play, compared to the actual interesting design points or like design goals, I guess, of that experience. Would you say that's maybe you can expand it?
I'd probably also add that I think a lot of designers perhaps overrate the first impression or like put way too much focus on it, like to the detriment of the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, should we just... Do you have anything to add or should we just jump into it?
We can jump into it.
Okay.
You said you had a good point to start with.
So. Recently I've been reading a fantastic, or maybe not so fantastic, game design book called A Theory of Fun. It's written by Ralph Koster, I think. And this is basically what kind of inspired me to like want to talk about this. Because in that book, one of the things he talks about is that essentially it's very important for a game to get the sort of balance between a game being too easy or too hard right. So he says that if the game is too easy, it's going to be boring, nobody's going to want to play it. But if it's too hard, people are just going to give up right away and like nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
And I disagree with him.
Yeah.
And one of the examples he points to why he thinks this is that he explains kind of a very difficult game that you don't understand as noise, right? So if I play a game and I don't understand what's going on, it's just noise to me. I can't make any sense of it.
Yeah.
And he is right about it. I do agree with him to that.
Yes.
Like, if I don't understand the game, I'm just doing random shit, and I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just doing random shit. But he says, he says.
Sorry to interrupt you here, but I would argue not always, because I don't know about you, but I play a lot of games.
Yeah.
To like check them out, basically design wise. From a designer standpoint, which I understand everyone doesn't do, right?
Yeah.
So, but sometimes I am searching, like I know a game has something because people have told me, but I don't understand it, right? And so I don't just like, I guess it is kind of noise, but it's like I'm trying to. It's not, this is just a bunch of noise and it's boring and I'm gonna quit. It's more like, I don't quite get this yet.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
I think that comes a lot with like experience, because if you were to put someone who's never played a game before in front of like a super hardcore bullet hell, they would be like, what the fuck, there's like no way to dodge these bullets, this game sucks, and they would close it.
Yeah,
so
they
like
would think it's meant to not be beaten.
Yeah. And the point that I disagree with is that, or like going back to the book that I was talking about, is that yes, it becomes noise when you don't understand the game, but sort of the point of playing a game, at least for me, is to decode that noise, right?
Yep.
So, because he's like he says in the book, if the game is too easy, I'm just sitting there doing everything. It's not fun. But if it's hard, then it's noise, And the fun part about the playing games for me is the noise turning into a pattern.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like me looking at the noise carefully and seeing, oh shit, I realized something. That's like super cool. I can do that to dodge the weird enemy attack or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a good example of this is puzzle games.
Yeah.
Because their entire, like the structure of a puzzle game is to solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Which mirrors that thought process you just described, where you don't understand, like it's a bunch of noise, so you don't know, at least in the good ones, right?
Yeah,
There's bad puzzle games as well. There is a lot of things that you don't understand, and the game itself is actually to, like you said, solve that noise.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just very clear in a puzzle game, because if you remove that, there is no game in a puzzle game, whereas in other games there's still a game. It's just very boring, I guess.
Yeah. I think a really good example of this is The Witness.
Yeah.
Because like if you haven't played The Witness, it's like you're walking around in this like normal first person world. It's like an island, it's mysterious, and then you go up to these screens where you can draw lines, and it's like in the beginning it's only like simple labyrinths, like you're kind of looking for the exit, but then right after the first area, I think this is a really good example of what you just said. Right after the first area, you go out and you get up to this like screen, and it's filled with a bunch of random symbols that you don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the point of that puzzle being there is not for you to solve it right now, right?
Yeah.
It's to be there for reference, because you see that puzzle and you go, what the fuck is this? And then you move on, and then you start finding easier puzzles where you slowly learn all of the mechanics so that you can go back and solve that puzzle. But that puzzle in the beginning is just noise, right? And it's the process of decoding the noise into like actual understanding of the system. That's the fun part of playing a game. That's what makes The Witness such a fantastic game, because like it's like the perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about The Witness when I said that. But our argument then is that this also applies to other genres.
Yeah.
Which I feel like some designers do, but a lot of the bigger ones don't. Maybe they do, but it doesn't show in the like end.
Do you have an example of what you mean?
Well, in what direction?
Like someone who doesn't understand it, or like.
Well, someone that doesn't is like any AAA game.
Yeah, true.
Yes, so like, I don't know, God of War, the latest God of War or something. Like, if you listen to, there's a lot of great talks on from GDC, I think. Yeah. From like God of War design stuff, and it's very clear that their goals are basically to remove any obstacles, I guess, to the experience. Yeah. But yet somehow keep it difficult for the people that want it difficult. I don't know. It doesn't work in my mind.
Isn't there like one talk where he talks about the camera of the game? How he wants the player to be able to play the game without ever moving the camera manually. Yeah. So like they put a lot of effort into doing a camera that works even though you don't do it. But there's still the option to do it manually if you're a skilled player or something like that. Like, I agree. That doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, and like in a 3D game like that, the camera is a core mechanic of the game. So not having to deal with it. I'm not saying you can't make an interesting game where you don't have to deal with the camera. I just feel like what they're trying to make something and remove the parts that are interesting about that kind of experience, I guess. Yeah.
I think the developers of God of War have kind of a similar point of view to what I read about in the book. It's like they see the moving of the camera as like noise for a new player, right? And they want to eliminate that so that players don't like quit because they don't understand the game. Yeah. But it's like that noise is the game. So why are you removing it, kind of? Yeah. And we talk about God of War now, and we talked about puzzle games earlier, but I want to make clear that like this isn't only for like puzzle games.
Yeah.
there's like, even in a game where there's like a lot of RNG or variation, let's take a game with a lot of, let's take XCOM as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of RNG, and like, so you might say, oh well, a puzzle game, that's like clearly defined rules, so obviously you can logically like solve the noise and like figure out the game. But what about a game like XCOM where there's like, you can't really predict anything, and like,
well, yeah,
you can. Well, you can, but like the solving of the noise involves understanding the like risk prediction, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
risk management.
Yeah, exactly.
Problem. Yeah.
So
it's a statistical problem you're solving.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. So like I just wanted to make extra clear that like this isn't just for like super logical rules. It could be something like understanding how the jump works in a platformer, right? Because that's more intuitive, but it's still kind of noise that you have to decode.
Yeah.
Or like like if we take a platform, for example, like jumping, when I jump, I don't actively think about like, if I press the button at this time, or if I hold the button, I jump higher or something like that. I just do it intuitively, but it's still me decoding the noise, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we need to move back, like, we need to clarify more, like, how should I say this? Like, the main point of the topic, like, we're talking about first expressions and onboarding, right? And how a lot of the design is focused on that specifically.
Yeah.
And, like, how that affects the experience negatively.
Well, I would say that there's kind of two ways to go here, because on one hand you have the God of War example, right, where basically a mechanic is removed in order to like improve the experience, the first impression of the game. Like you don't need to learn the camera, so because that makes it easier for new players to understand the game.
So like to clarify what I'm trying to like get across. For example, like if you jump into a multiplayer game with a low amount of player, so there's like just a few people playing it regularly and they're very skilled, that's gonna be a very bad first experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that doesn't mean that the game is bad, right? That's the kind of point I want to get across.
Yeah.
Because there's, like, I can make the counter example, right? There are games that have great first impressions. That are really good, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But like one of my favorite examples is Super Hexagon, which is, it's a super simple game, and it's very clear from the start what you're supposed to do, and it's super hard immediately. And it's not compromising any of the experience with anything. It's just a really good game, right? But some designs are harder to do. And do good onboarding with. Like the experience itself is a rough experience unless you have a lot of experience. Like if you come,
go ahead. You can go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if you compare it to something else, I don't know what. Let's say we compare it to music. Putting someone in front of a very complicated piece of music. Like I don't know, they're playing guitar or something, or jazz, and like with these complicated chords and things, that's still valuable, right? But it's not approachable at all. It's in that case it's actually years of experience, right? Like it's way more than it's expected from a game. So
it's sort of expected that the listener learns to enjoy jazz. Rather than the jazz trying to like hook the listener in by like watering down itself.
But you were gonna make a point, so...
Yeah, so it was just an example of a game that I think has pretty bad first impressions.
Yeah, go for it.
Which is the Souls, or Dark Souls specifically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe you don't agree with me, I don't know, but I think it's
Let's
pretty
see.
bad. So Dark Souls starts with like this tutorial, blah blah blah. You learn some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Dark Souls leaves so many mechanics like unexplained, completely unexplained.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, it doesn't tell you about like what any of the stats do. So like you sort of know like, oh, if I buff my vitality or whatever it's called, I get more health. But like there are other stats that do weird obscure things that you don't know about. And there's like, you can upgrade your weapons. It doesn't say that.
Yep.
There's like a bunch of things that aren't explained, and yet most people, when you ask them what they think about Dark Souls, they're gonna say that's a great game.
I see. Okay. Yeah. So what you're saying is that this game is basically an example of a bad first impression.
Yeah,
A good game.
And I think it shows also on like the popularity curve of that game, because when that game came out, like it got pretty bad reviews and like nobody really cared about it.
It was worse with the first one, actually.
Yeah,
with
Dream Souls, yeah.
Yeah,
but like I think
then at that point it was like, this game is some random, not good words, right?
Yeah.
It's the impressions. You can still find them if you look for them.
But I think the funny thing about Dark Souls is like, didn't IGN like retroactively change the review? It was some big like news site.
Probably.
Yeah, probably several. But they were like, when Dark Souls came out, they were like, oh yeah, this is trash, like, or maybe they didn't say it was trash, but they didn't give it a very good review at least. And then like retroactively several years later, when people started realizing that Dark Souls was pretty good actually, they changed the review and was like, oh yeah, this is a masterpiece. We just didn't understand it back then.
Yeah.
And I think designers are like focusing way too much on like not having that happen. Which like out of a business standpoint, it makes sense. But when we're talking about pure game design...
I want to correct you though, because it is very obvious that what the Souls people did was very like good business-wise. So I don't even know if that is
good
true.
Point.
Long term.
Long term, yes.
Yeah.
Although most corporations don't really care about long-term profits. But that's another discussion. That's a good point. But like... I think like if you're talking about the craft of game design, a lot of game designers put a lot of focus into like, oh yeah, you need to onboard the player, you need to hook them in, you need to like show them what's great about your game right away. And it's like, if you're talking about serious deep game design, it doesn't really matter. Like obviously having like a very clear and good introduction to your game will help.
Yeah.
But it's not like detrimental not to have it.
Yeah. I remembered an example here. We have discussed this before, but I don't like. I'm gonna butcher the details here. But it was. I think it was. Was it a Red Orchestra game? We're gonna have to look this up afterwards.
Yeah.
Where they had like focused, like they did tests on groups.
Yeah.
And the designer.
Oh yeah.
Like there was this designer talking about it, and like it was, the feedback was basically useless, because all they got back was, they wanted the game to be more like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Which is not the game they were trying to make, right? So that's like, that's basically like the thing with first impressions, right? That if you'll have these ideas about what you want, right? But games are about giving you experiences that you didn't know you wanted, right?
Yeah.
So you can't. Like sometimes you can have a good first experience, but not always, because you have a lot of ideas of what you think is good beforehand that's gonna clash with what this designer thinks about this world, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was like Red Orchestra 2 or something.
Yeah, we can look it up afterwards.
Yeah, it's... What you're saying is like the point about like everyone's looking for COD because like nobody actually knows what they want.
Yeah.
Or like you know, taking it back to like the example from the book earlier, like when they play Red Orchestra, they see noise, they don't understand it, but they see kind of on the surface that it's kind of similar to COD.
Yeah.
So they're like, why don't you make it more similar to this thing that I already know?
That I know I like.
Yeah, exactly. You know. Which is like, that there's no point in doing that because Call of Duty already exists, right? Yeah. I'm trying to make Red Orchestra 2 over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a very good point. I also think that that's like a good example of like, you know, what is it? Well, yeah, because like Red Orchestra 2 was a pretty successful game, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the numbers, but it was probably
or like
okay.
Especially like when they did Rising Storm, it's kind of confusing because there's like it's like 2 games, but it's actually 1 game or something like that.
Yeah. But
Rising Storm was a pretty big hit, if I recall correctly, and like.
I mean, we can very with. How should I say this? It's very likely making it more like Call of Duty would not make it sell more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because like. Obviously, compared to Call of Duty, Rising Storm / Red Orchestra didn't sell at all.
Yeah.
But like for the size of the team and like for their ambitions, like the game was pretty successful.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious that like the reason for that is because it's its own game. If they just made Call of Duty, nobody would have played it because people would have just played Call of Duty instead, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to kind of move on to this idea, which is also talked about in the book, but it's also talked about designers all the time, which annoys me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things he talks about is like the balancing of difficulty. It's like the game shouldn't be too easy, right, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
But if it's too hard, the player's gonna get frustrated and they're gonna quit. And like I don't necessarily think that's true, I guess.
No.
And that's sort of a point of like this whole onboarding thing, that it's like designers always say like, oh, you should keep the player just at the edge of their ability, right? You should always like, they should always have 1 HP left after the boss fight because that's like the perfect difficulty for the player. And I just think that's plain wrong.
Yeah. I actually have a good point there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So a thing that I've noticed about this is that it's related to how the game presents the challenge. So if a game is how is a good way to say this? The game, if the game presents itself as being the challenge, then people are more receptive to the challenge. Like I don't know, Getting Over It with Bennett, for example. You start that game and he's mocking you immediately.
Yeah.
And then you try to climb a tree and then it's like I can't climb this tree, right?
Yeah.
It's impossible. Like or like I don't know how it was for you. I remember I was like, okay, how bad is this gonna be? And then I like started moving up
and
the
got
tree.
stuck
like,
at like,
oh dear God, this is gonna be bad. But then you get used to it after a while, right? So it's actually a really good.
Exactly.
Like you could argue that that's very like not user friendly. Like you can't even get past the first tree, and the game is mocking you. But it's actually setting up a very like nice presentation of no you're gonna have to struggle here a bit, and it's gonna be fun in quotation marks, right? Yeah.
I think
go on. You can go on.
Yeah, I think a really that's a really good example because like. I think the first playthrough I did of Getting Over It took me like 5 or 6 hours. I don't remember. And like my second playthrough took like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's actually insane. Like because the game itself is like really short, right?
Yeah.
As I said, it's only 15 minutes, and like the best players in the world can do it in probably like 1 minute. I don't know. And like, but the first time I did it, it took me 5 fucking hours. That's like, if you said that to like a modern AAA designer, he would say like, "Are you retarded?" Like,
no,
what?
you didn't get your money there, no.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's it's sort of funny because like it's a really fun game, and like it's obviously a very popular game. Obviously, a lot of it is partly because it's like, you know, streamer rage bait stuff things, and so like it gained a lot of popularity from streamers. But obviously, it's a fun game as well. Like a lot of people played it.
Yeah.
And like if that game hadn't been hard, nobody would have cared about it, right? Because if it was just like a super easy platformer about a guy in a pot swinging his hammer, it would be like, oh, okay, this is kind of funny, haha, and then you'd forget about it. But because it's like so goddamn hard, it's like, holy shit, this game is legendary.
Yeah, this is going a bit towards the like difficulty and how that is the content of the game, I guess. So if we try to steer it back to the impressions, yeah.
But yeah, I guess like to like clarify the point that I was trying to make that you brought the game up for is like the game doesn't have to be balanced in difficulty for the player. I think that's kind of what the point we wanted to make is like the game can be too hard, or even the game should be too hard for the player initially, because, you know, going back to that noise example, it's about decoding that noise. It's about overcoming the challenge, and so the new player experience or whatever, it's gonna be rough, because that's kind of the point of playing a game. It's about learning the game, right?
Yeah, I guess you could argue though against our point that that game has a good first impression because it is very clear about it, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to think of games where it's more like they have more obscure mechanics, so it's less clear up front what you're supposed to do.
I still think it's a pretty good example, because like it's very clear what you're supposed to do, but it's not clear at all how you're supposed to do it right.
Sure.
Because like it's very clear that like the only mechanic in that game is you have the hammer and you swing the hammer, and like you need to do a bunch of stuff, and like at first you don't know at all what you need to do with the hammer, right? It's just in the way. You're constantly knocking into things. You're knocking yourself off the branch of the tree because you accidentally swing too hard, and it's just like incredibly like painful, and you're suffering. But like as you play the game, you kind of learn how to handle the hammer, and you learn tricks, and you learn what to do in certain situations. So it kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna... I kind of want to find more single-player examples, but again, multiplayer is really good at like... clarifying this, right? So if you take games like a perfect genre to describe this is MOBAs.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people thinking, or fighting games actually as well. Yeah. MOBAs and fighting games are great examples because they are genres where if you look at them and you haven't played them for like 1,000 hours, they look super stupid.
Yeah.
So when you like, I've had, because I've played some MOBAs right in the past. Yep. I have had friends that's like, oh, I want to play this MOBA with you. I'm like, sure, and they jump on, and then they walk up to the tower and die or something, and they're like, how am I supposed to know that? And it's like, well, yeah, like it's really hard to explain. It's like a feeling you get right when you play, because and there's all these tiny nuances in the mechanics about like they'll stand somewhere and they'll be angry, right? It's the frustration thing again, right? Where it's like they'll stand somewhere and they'll just they'll be ganked and ganked. Like there'll be people come there and kill them, and they'll be frustrated and like, how was I supposed to know that I like? How was I supposed to know that I was not gonna stand here? And it's like, well, it's an experience thing, right? But the problem is, a lot of game designers don't look at it that way. They look at it and go, oh, they're not happy with the, like, they're getting bad impressions, right?
Yeah.
And that's bad. They need to remove that. But the problem is they can't remove that bad impression because that's part of what creates the depth later. And it's the same with fighting games, where it's like, you'll fight someone and they'll just fight you and like let's say you fight some super player, right? And you don't know, like you're just spamming buttons, and you look at him without experience and like, oh, he's just spamming and winning or something, but he's actually just reading everything you're doing, right? Because he knows the nuances of all the like timings of all the moves and stuff. So it's very hard, right? To
Yeah, I think the Dota tower thing especially is a really good example, because what I see a lot of game designers talk about is like you need to like clearly let the player know about the danger before he experiences it. Yeah. So like in your tower example for Dota, a designer would like say, oh, but like you can't just let the player walk up to the tower and like learn that that's a bad idea by killing him. You need to tell the player beforehand that walking up to the tower is a bad idea, so that when he walks up to the tower and he dies, he doesn't get angry.
Sure, but I would argue that even worse, that they would do things to make it not exist, or like they would just shave that off, because it like in their mind, and this is obviously not all the designers, there are great designers out there, but some designers and a lot of the like bigger budget games do this, where they have this, oh, I'm gonna make a MOBA, right? And they're gonna remove ganking and remove towers and remove, like they're gonna remove these things as if they are just frustrations and like things to sand off, whereas that's actually the gameplay, and they're just making
wasn't there that like boat MOBA thing that I showed you? What was it called?
I don't remember what it was called.
Sirocco. Yeah, like reading that Steam page is really, really funny, because like they no shade towards the developers here, but like it's actually hilarious. It's like they list a bunch of things like, oh yeah, there's like, you don't need to follow the meta, you don't need to do this, you don't need to farm enemies, you don't need to memorize things, and it's like you're just listing things that are like making the game interesting at this point.
And I mean, in their defense, sometimes you can like, this is a skill thing, or like experience thing. So if they know, for example, that they want to capture team fights. So if we take MOBAs again as an example, there are examples where they do shave off things, and it creates a good experience, which is a game called Battle Right. Have you played that? Right?
Yeah, played it.
That's essentially, I mean, you could argue it's from MMOs or whatever, but it's essentially team fights from MOBAs, right?
Yeah.
Over and over again. And that game is great.
Yep.
So if you know what you're doing, you can shave off things, but they didn't shave them off because they were frustrating. They shaved them off to focus the experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a big difference
like,
there.
They want you to like experience the team fights purely.
Yeah.
Whereas like the bad example of this is like they want you to experience a MOBA, but
without
they think
the MOBA
that
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, they only keep in the team fights because that's what looks most like a MOBA or something like that. Yeah. I think another very, very good similar example is a genre that's been struggling. You know, people always talk about how they struggle with keeping new players and getting new players into the genre because it has so many like dedicated players, but like no new players at all. Can you guess what genre that is?
No, I can't actually.
You can't. No. It's RTS.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Like I want to point out that it's a surprisingly large amount of genres that fit that.
True.
So,
but like the RTS is like
RTS and old school arcade games, but sorry, yes, continue.
Yeah, but RTS is like, that's the one that people always talk about. Like, oh yeah, RTSs are so fun, but we need to get more new players because RTSs were so popular, but now they're dead. And it's like all of the new RTSs you see, or not all, but like most of the new RTSs you see are like constantly talking about how, oh yeah, we're doing a bunch of things to like bring in new players, and they always flop. And the reason for that, I believe, is because they keep like removing what makes an RTS fun.
Yeah.
It's like, what's that game called? Was it Battle Aces?
Yeah.
That was like an RTS that was shut down like before it got released even. And I played it Because I heard from some people that like, oh yeah, it's like it's gonna get like a lot of new people into RTSs because like it's like streamlined and simplified, but it still keeps what's fun with an RTS.
Yeah.
And I played it, and it was like, it was basically an RTS without the economy.
Yeah.
And it was super uninteresting because I was just like moving my guys around, and it's like, this is not what an RTS is, right?
Yeah.
Because like I'm not an RTS player. I want to make that clear. Like it's sort of one of those genres that like I want to like spend the time to get into them, but I'm too lazy to do it. And so like I'm the perfect kind of player to like be brainwashed by a game like this. Like, oh yeah, bring me into the genre, right?
Yeah.
But like they always fail to do it because they always remove what's fun about an RTS. It's like, oh yeah, it's an RTS, but you don't need to micro. Okay, but that's like 30% of an RTS, like not 30%, but like you can't.
I mean, it can work.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't just sand off hard edges and expect the experience to be like, if it's a similar experience but you've just removed a part, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But if you like change the experience enough to where there's more depth in the parts that are left, it can work, I would argue.
Yeah, because
I mean, obviously it can work because there's genres that are built on simplifying other genres, right?
Yeah, you know, for example, MOBAs and RTSs. But I think like what I was trying to say is like, I guess they focus too much on like, as you said, like sanding down the edges so that new players have an easier time getting in, but what they end up doing is they sand away everything and suddenly no one wants to play your game. Not the hardcore players and not the new players.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make any sense to do that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I feel like we're like, I get your points, but I still feel like you and I are not on the exact same page about the first impressions thing. So like I'm thinking more like, it's not, you're not wrong, right? Or like obviously not wrong, but I mean it's like you're thinking about it almost the same, but like I'm thinking more about the like actual like not necessarily difficulty. Like a game can be difficult and have a good presentation, but like let's say it's like the basically just the first impressions, not necessarily is it hard or is it fun in the long run. I mean, obviously it needs to be good and fun in the long run to be a good game, but you can have a game, because like you said, game designers focus on this, like, oh, we need to get the player to like the game immediately, and it makes sense because they want to make money. But like what I'm arguing is that, well, actually there is examples of games, and I believe this, right, that if you focus instead on making the experience good and educating the players.
What do you mean by
that's
educating?
Gonna, however it takes, like let's say you have a game that is super hard to play, well, again, like MOBAs or whatever, but it's not that the MOBA is hard, it's just it's hard to get it. So it could be an easy game, but to get the interesting part is hard. If that makes sense. That's like where I'm trying to go with this. So
but I don't,
and like that, so you would need like for example, you could have a game, what am I? So like how you would get around that, right? So you said Dark Souls. How does Dark Souls get around the fact that people don't know what they're gonna do, right? Well, there's a wiki and there's videos and there's people streaming it all the time, and right? That's how you get around it. You have people talk about it and say, this is actually interesting. Like if you play this and you have never seen anything like it before, you start playing it and you go, this is dumb. Because like, okay, I know exactly how to explain this, okay? So back in the day, there was no first-person shooters, right? They did not exist. And then someone made like Doom, right?
Yeah.
John Carmack, and it made Doom. And then all of a sudden there's FPS, and then they made Quake and stuff, right? And then what happens after that? Well, there's a lot of FPS coming out.
Yeah.
Why is there a lot of FPS coming out? Well, because people understand FPS. Like, it's an understood concept. Like, okay, I move the character with WSD or whatever, right? I mean, controllers later, but and with the mouse. And that's like, people get that. So when they give them a game, it's like, I understand. And then here comes Dark Souls, right? I mean, there's got obviously lots more in between, but I'm just trying to get the point across. Dark Souls comes here, right? Or Demon Souls. And what does all the critics say? And people say? Will say, this game is stupid. Yep. They don't get it because the control scheme of that game and the mechanics of that game, they're weird. It's like what the game doesn't like. Because didn't Batman come out like around that time as well? Like,
probably, yeah, somewhere around.
Where you like everything is like automatic X, and smooth, and you just spam X. And then they play this Souls game where it's like, what? I need to aim like with the stick to hit. This doesn't make and like it's weird. I don't like it. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like if people think about this all the time, like, oh, I can't make the player feel like uncomfortable about the design, then they were never gonna have any new genres ever. Like, we're gonna have these tweaks like battle royale, FPS or whatever, right? But we're never gonna get these really interesting new things because people are scared to like push new things. It's like, no, actually this is interesting, just try it a bit more, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, that's the main thing for me, right? That we're missing out on a lot of new genres because people are just rehashing what they already understand, and they're scared to do weird things because the feedback they get from these things is like, oh, this is weird, and this is like oh, why can't, whatever it is, right? Why can't I control my air jump or what? I know that's an old thing, right? But they get back this feedback that's like, oh, so I should change this and shit. And then when they take all this feedback into consideration, they end up at what's trendy at the time, right?
Yeah.
And like,
I think
I don't want that.
I think your example of like Red Orchestra 2 from earlier is a pretty good example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, I'd say that's reasonable.
Because so like there could, like, obviously I can't give you a genre because they don't exist.
Yeah.
But there is like obvious like ways to, like, again with the getting over it, it's like a different way to control your character. Like,
that's actually
not just new mechanics. It's or like, it's not, oh, it's Dark Souls, but you have a new RPG system, or it's right, or like there is some other weird. It's Dark Souls, but there is two worlds, or what? There is one.
I think
right, stuff like that is lame. It's super boring. I want the like, oh wait, this like, you like play in this weird way where you like, I don't know, right? I can't you press like 15 buttons, or I don't know.
I think
just rambling.
I think getting over it is actually a pretty good example, because like technically that's a platformer, but it plays completely different from like any platformer that's ever been made before. Yeah. Like not really, because it's based off like a Flash game, and that Flash game came before that, but like compared to like mainstream, platformers, it's like very weird. So I agree with you.
And like, it doesn't, to be clear, it doesn't have to be hard to control. That's not the point. I'm just saying it's not the convention that is currently, and again, it doesn't have to be controls. It's just easy to explain it with controls, because it could be mechanics. But it's harder, it's more abstract with mechanics, right? There it's more like puzzle game, like the Witness you brought up. It's like, that's not the controls, right? The controls are very straightforward in The Witness. But it's a really weird game where like a bunch of, there's like lines and
exactly.
Weird, like everything in that game is like trying to teach you something. Like, you don't understand anything. Like it's like everything. So like, there's puzzle games, right, where the puzzle is just like solve this already understood problem. but the witness is not that. It's like you get a problem and you actually need to learn. Like there is no one that's gonna tell you how to solve this problem, and you're gonna have to solve it.
Yeah.
So it's very different. I don't know if that's a good example, but I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard to explain this to me, for me.
Yeah. I think that maybe like.
I think novelty is like a good word to
yeah.
describe this for me. Like a lot of designers, they think in terms of these like defined terms and genres, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm making this kind of game,
Yeah.
and then they make a gimmick in quotation marks or a novelty, right, thing, and then that's like a new game, but it's not a new game. It's just a tiny thing
I would
that
say
they added to it.
I would even go further and say that it's not even genres, it's just like straight up games. It's like,
Sure.
I'm gonna make what's it called? The roguelike card game.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, but the first one that was really popular. What the fuck is it called? I completely forgot.
Yeah, I don't remember. The one with the whale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What the fuck is it called? Whatever. It's like, it's this like generic card game, but you have this weird mechanic, or like, it's like Balatro, but it's fantasy and you're a wizard, and it's like, that's not really interesting.
Yeah, they're just trying to clone them.
Yeah, like I think that's like a very good point, because that's how most people talk about like new game ideas. It's like, it's like this but with a twist.
Yeah.
And
again, some of them does work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't like, I don't know, don't quote me on this, right? But I guess I would assume something like Balatro, for example, did in fact like it was intuitive.
Slay the Spire.
When they played it.
I remember the name.
Yeah, Slay the Spire. Yeah. Balatro, for example, would be intuitive to people when they played it the first time.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be like scared off and be like, oh, this is weird, I don't like it. So it's not that it can't be. How do you say this? Like it
can't be derived from. It can be derived from another game.
Yeah, it can be derived from other things, and it can leave good first impressions.
Yeah.
Even if it's something new.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to, and focusing on that robs us from a lot of interesting experiences, I think.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe you probably know more about this than me, because you know more about Dark Souls, but or like I guess Demon Souls is technically the first one. But it's like you couldn't really say that about Demon Souls, right? Like Demon Souls is like this game, but something else. It's like
I mean, you could argue, right, a ton of things.
Yeah, like because it has like
all its.
It has a bunch of influences, right? It's like a third-person game. It has melee combat. You can roll. You can probably roll in some other games, but it's not like derived from one game and like we switch this thing. It's like a massive like amalgamation of like weird stuff in a bunch of weird games, and it creates this new weird thing.
Combined with their experience with the kinds of game they were already making before that.
And it's sort of. I think maybe what the problem is that like. Demon Souls / Dark Souls is like a completely new game, but it doesn't look like it, right? It looks like any third-person game I've ever like seen before, but like in its core, like in its controls, as you say, in like the philosophy of the game and like stuff like that, it's very, very different from what people are used to, and so they kind of dismiss it right away. It's like, wait, this isn't like a generic third-person game. What the fuck? It's trash, and they shut it down. Whereas like. No, it's like, oh wait, this isn't a generic third-person game. Holy crap, I want to play more. It's kind of that thing you want to like get, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything more you want to say?
I feel like I want one more example.
Okay.
I can't think of a good one, and I want a single player example.
An example
because
of what?
There is endless multiplayer examples, right?
I think though multiplayer kind of has the advantage that like
that's the thing. It doesn't
social, so like your friends can
and also
say
the depth is also created like later, so it's like Like some
Yeah.
games have these quirky behaviors that the devs didn't intend or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
then people realize that, and then they play around that, and yeah.
But I
And
also
so
think
it takes
I also think multiplayers have the like unique
advantage. Yes,
advantage of
the,
like
yeah.
your friends can say, let's play this game,
Yes.
and like then you play
Yeah,
it
no,
even
it's
though you
actually
don't
good,
really
and, yeah.
understand it, because they said it's good and they can kind of teach you the mechanics. Whereas in a single player game, you're kind of, most of the time at least, going in blind, and like maybe you look stuff up on the wiki, like, but
Yeah.
there's no one like telling you, oh yeah, trust me, this is really good. It's like you just kind of need to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So that's why I'm thinking single player is like to get the point across, because you can.
what do you want the example to show, I guess?
I don't know.
You don't
like,
know.
Just
try to explain it, and I'll try to think of an example.
just trying to just to clarify,
Yeah.
like to make it more clear what we're trying to say, right? To have one more example.
I have an example, and it's not a game in general, but it's like a genre, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And that's roguelikes.
Sure.
Because
What?
roguelikes tend to introduce, and specifically roguelikes, like with meta progression and stuff like that. And they tend to introduce...
No, that's lights.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I mean. Very confusing.
Yeah.
Roguelites. Sorry, my bad. And that's... they often like introduce mechanics very gradually, and like... Yeah, I think, for example, Rogue Legacy 2, I played that like a long time ago, or not that long, but a few years ago. And it's like the first playthrough, you're kind of just running around, and it's like a normal 2D platformer. And then the next run, you unlock a few things, and it's like, oh, you unlock a new class, or like something like that. And then more stuff happens, and more stuff happens, and it's like you kind of unlock more of the game over time, I guess.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I'm not a fan at all of that.
No, I hate that.
Yeah, because it's like they're trying to drip feed you the actual game, and it's like, just let me play it, right?
Yeah.
But no, I need to like keep playing over and over like a simplified version of it until I like grind enough so that I can finally play like with all the fun toys and stuff like that.
Right, but in that example, they could just give you the toys up front.
Yeah, true.
Just. But I guess that is kind of relevant, like you said, because it does touch on the fact that they could just give you everything up front and the game would be more interesting.
Yeah.
Even if it's still not great because of all the meta stuff.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to waste your time up front to make that first impression in quotation marks better.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that would affect the game actually. So like for me obviously it would be more interesting because I wouldn't have to deal with all the garbage beforehand. But since that game is so meta progression heavy, I don't know if it would help it long term.
Yeah, I mean meta progression is pretty popular among players, so
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So that then it doesn't matter that because like it would be a different kind of player that would look for the experience maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to tell because like obviously it's harder to make new like control schemes and stuff these days obviously because obviously all of them are not invented. That's very obvious, but it's a lot harder to make something that controls in a new way now. I mean, I guess it's not, but like if you're making a 3D game and you want third-person camera, but I mean again, like if we make that assumption, right?
Yep.
If we make the assumption, okay, we're gonna make a 3D game. Okay, it's a third-person game, right? It's an action game. What do people do? Well, they go, okay, what's a popular camera right now? It's the Dark Souls camera, right?
Yeah.
And they put the camera close to the character and you can rotate it, right? And you could have so much more, right? You could be like, well, okay, what if the camera's like, what if it's a static camera? Could we make like an interesting action game with a static camera? Could we make it top down? I mean, some games do top down, right? Or what, like, so I'm not saying there is no experimentation with this stuff, but it's just not enough, I guess.
Yeah.
It's too safe because that's what people think they want.
Yeah.
That's kind of my point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I think this episode has probably gone on long enough, right? So perhaps, do you want to recap?
We're probably gonna have to recap. Yeah. So basically, when you design a game, try to obviously you need to think a bit about the experience because that might affect the sales at least initially.
Yeah.
But remember that the game design and the first impressions are not necessarily the same, right?
Yeah.
It's two different things, and you don't want to compromise the design just for the first impressions. Yeah,
and
that's, I guess.
I'd also
and experiment, do new things.
Yeah, I'd like to add that, like, sometimes, I guess that's sort of what you were trying to say, but I want to make it extra clear. Like, sometimes focusing on the first impression will lead to a worse game because you will have to.
Oh no, it will.
You will have to like sacrifice what makes your game special, right? Or what makes your game interesting in order for the first impression to be good. Because your game is weird and it's experimental or whatever, and people don't understand it. Like, don't be afraid.
Even if it's relatively normal, it's still.
Yeah. Like, don't be afraid of people not understanding your game. Like, make a game that's interesting, and then if it's interesting, people will understand it with time.
Yeah, and focus instead on, again, having good tools. We're gonna have to touch this in the future at some point because it's a big thing for me. This bothers me all the time. Like, if you're making a rough experience, make sure that it is clear and that you're so, like you said, if it's hard, make sure that you can get back into it fast. So don't waste his time, or like make sure there's
like
tools
super
to
long
learn.
death animations or something.
Yeah, super long death animation, super long loading times. Make sure they can get back fast so they can learn, so they can understand, so they can appreciate the experience that you've created. With whatever, like tutorials, with whatever you want, with the training modes, add whatever you need, video things, just, but like make it smooth outside of the like it's rough experience in quotation marks. Yeah,
so thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week with a review, perhaps. Is that next week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Should be. No, you're right. It is next week.
It is next week.
It should be.
Stay tuned. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening. Bye bye.